Hello everyone, welcome back to the kitchen table. Today on the kitchen table, as I pour a well-deserved, in my opinion, glass of wine, it's part 3, the final part of our kind of look at the 3DR Solo with gimbal that was lent to us briefly by wexphotographic.com in the UK. Before we go any further, it's the kitchen table, and of course tradition dictates we have a beverage when discussing our drones, and it's late in the evening here, so I am on the wine, and I'm on this rather nice Wickham Hill vintage 2013 Cabernet Sauvignon from southeastern Australia. And like a lot of things that come out of Australia, it's bloody good, so cheers. So yes, final part, how does it fly, and then a sort of summary. Now, one of the things I have to say is that I only had this for a handful of days, and the British weather conspired against me, such that the only time I had to fly it was literally on the afternoon that other courier was coming to take the thing back. So I nipped out with the aid of my son. We got the rain in the morning had cleared, and we got out and got some flying in. But with only one battery, there was a limit. So just to advise you, I haven't done range tests. I haven't been able to put hours and hours on the thing, which, to be fair, is the only way you're going to get a decent kind of feel for the whole thing. But I did get enough time on it to give some basic impressions, and we discovered a few little interesting things. So we'll have a look at how that went, and then we'll come back to a summary sort of at the end. So off you go. Okay, so here we are in the field again. Literally, we've got our super duper duper controller, which is going to have difficulty focusing on because of the shininess, and we've got everything leveled up. Now, I've done a compass calibration and a level calibration because, as we said earlier, this thing was a bit of a demonstrator and had been beaten up, so I thought it was only fair to do that. And that was fine. You just follow the pictures on the app. The compass calibration is weird. You kind of rotate it in all sorts of bizarre directions. Very unusual if you've been used to doing a Phantom on its 2-axis kind of thing. And the level calibration is also odd. You have to leave the Solo on its side and on its back and on its front, and it's just leave it there. Different strokes for different folks, but it's all good. So now what we're going to do is just basically fire it up, and let's have a look at just some basic flight stuff. So as it says on the shiny screen there, which we won't be able to focus on, it says hold fly to start motors, so we're going to do that. Video games. And then it says hold fly to take off, so we're going to do that too. Green bar goes. So we'll move it over there. So here it is, it's hovering. I'm not doing anything to it. If we have a look at, I don't know if we can get some focus in, you can see there we've got the screen which shows us battery percentage, home distance, altitude, satellites, and we've got these shortcut buttons on A and B for cable cam and for orbit modes. Let's just give it a bit of a fly first of all and see how it reacts. We'll just do some sort of... So it is what it is there. Seems to be quite responsive. This is in the basic mode. Oh! Quite aggressive on those changes. Let's have a look at pirouettes. A little bit drifty. That's nicer. It seems to have got itself into a little bit drifty on the right pirouette, but again, you don't know how balanced these props are, having been mullered a bit. Let's go take it for a ride.
not as aggressive at braking in automatic mode as the Phantom 3s are. But that does mean you get some drift, so let's just drop our camera angle. Back up, let's go all the way down. It's quite a swift thing. Hello ground. Let's do a power climb. 3, 2, 1. Gentle. And then let's do a power descent. Oh, into the wash. That's pretty reasonable. Let's move over to the app now. Let's do a cable cam. Fly to first position and press A. So let's go here. First position set. Fly to the next position and set B. Okay, well let's go. Move along cable with your right stick. Oh yeah, so the right stick is now not doing anything. If I bring it towards me, it flies along the cable in a direction that we set and adjusts the height. If I go back the other way, okay, so up the cable, stop there, and push it down the cable again, bring it towards us. That's really nice, and you can be a bit sloppy. As long as you're not too sloppy in the forwards and backwards direction, you can actually make it work very slowly and it will maintain that. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Orbit is, you know, it's going to be orbit, it's going to be fine. The follow me modes, I quite like the look at me, but we'll talk about that a bit later. Other than that, the downlink is nice and crisp, not too jerky. Let's see how far away we can get, and I apologise, I'm doing this one-handed. There you can see, I mean, the latency is not bad at all, and the picture quality is excellent. This is on a Nexus 7. We're not very far away, we're only 180 meters, but again, I'm not interested in max range, I'm interested in quality, and that's a very nice big full screen preview. That's really good. Let's just give it some, sorry about the focus there, let's try and get that in again. There we go. Let's try and give the gimbal some something to do. Wibbling it about, you can hear the stick in the background hopefully. That's pretty good, pretty good. And up and down, forwards and backwards, wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Pretty good. Okay, let's bring it on home. Just got another buzz that says, look, you're on low battery, you must return home soon. Which is good, because it buzzed at me and let me know. There's the warning you get. Charge flight battery. Battery too low for flight.
So there we go. Some kind of general summary thoughts now. I know you notice that the gimbal seemed to lose horizontal. Now, I'm not sure whether that's a gimbal related problem per se, or whether it's an issue with the way that I level calibrated and compass calibrated. Both were very new to me and involved some kind of weird posing of the aircraft, and I did it on the flight case. May not have been 100% level, might have been the problem. The aircraft didn't ask me to do those levels, and the DJI, the 3DR site tells you that you don't have to unless it asks for it. So unlike DJI, who say, look, if you change your location drastically or you're flying in a very different area, you should do these things. The Solo says, don't worry about it unless it tells you it needs it. So I may have done those slightly wrongly, especially the compass calibration, which was very odd, spinning the thing round and round. And the gimbal did seem to sort of correct itself when it came back. So that was a bit odd. And also, as you saw in the last episode, it did just have a firmware update before I flew it. So we'll see. I mean, I thought that when the gimbal was holding true, you know, it was just as good as any other 3-axis gimbal. Everything was held very steady, and there was no issue. There was no vibration. There was not a hint of jello out of the box. It seemed to do its job very well. It's just that slight question mark over the tilt. In flight, it was very similar to the Phantom, not as powerful, but then again, I was flying it in the default setting. I didn't have time to sort of increase the power or the responsiveness. But you know, again, rather with the Phantom, it's a camera platform. More importantly was how accurately it flew and how it felt to get itself into a position, and that was all fine. Cable cam I thought was fantastic. I ran out of battery to be able to do the look at me mode, which is kind of the inverse of point of interest, where the aircraft stays in a hover, fixes onto you, and then as you move, it follows you around. So you can imagine if you're in the middle of a racetrack, you could use that to do things like that. But you know, that was a sort of a reasonable thing. I think I can see more uses for that personally than the follow me. Maybe it's because I don't do enough skiing. So what's the summary? Well, do you know what? There are some things about it I really like. I love the controller. I really like the haptic feedback that vibrates at you to draw your attention to something. I love that little bright screen that at all times gives me the information I need to know. I would have no problem just taking this one for a quick flight without my tablet and running the app and everything else. I could just buzz it around knowing that on there is the key information that I need. I like that a lot. I grew to quite like that slightly wider stance. It's light. Just a good job on that. Felt very nice. Big fan of it. Would like some haptic feedback and permanent displays on other transmitters that might be out there from certain other manufacturers. I think the 3DR Solo for me seems to have been built with filmmakers, cinematographers, photographers in mind. All the shortcut buttons on the transmitter are all to do with the camera or the gimbal. The modes, the flight modes have been laid out with filming in mind. The cable cam mode is great. You can probably approximate something similar by using the waypoints mode on the DJI thing, but this is up front and says a cable cam. Anybody who knows about filming will know what one of those is and will want to replicate it. And it just, you know, backwards and forwards along that same track, changing height, changing rotation, whatever you want to do, and then you get that you can repeat the shot and repeat it and get it right. Great for sports type stuff, as well as sort of accurate panoramas. Build quality was good, as we discussed about. It flew fine. The flight time, incidentally, I started off that filming was with the battery was about 73% full, and I came in on the warning and landed it at 14 minutes and 50 something seconds. So I think 20 minutes is probably where you're looking at, 20-minute flight time, which, you know, is probably slightly low, but then pretty impressive for the fact the thing weighs, you know, the best part of 2 kilos. That really, you know, they've done a good job to squeeze the maximum power out of that battery, I tell you. the price. The price and some of the things that it doesn't do are the things that I think would cause me to think a little bit at this point, and why I would say that this is a work in progress still. The things that you can't do with the app on the GoPro, you can't actually control the GoPro settings at the moment, although firmware apparently is coming in the next month or so that will allow you to change white balance and the your aperture and all the things that you can do on a P3. If that comes to the GoPro system, then that's going to be quite powerful. There is, if you look at read the forums and people's experiences, there have been some issues with the gimbal. The gimbal came late, and I think, it's a work in progress. I think if you've bought into the concept of what they're offering, if you've bought into the open source nature of the controller, if you've bought into their no fly away guarantee, which is going to be an interesting one, then you buy it, you pay the premium because it is expensive at the moment, especially if you don't have a GoPro already. You pay that premium and you kind of have the faith that they'll bring it into line. I think at the moment one of these is definitely the ready package compared to the Solo. So that was it really. I'm not going to go into great, yes, you should buy it, no, you shouldn't, because that's going to be very subjective, and it is a lot dependent on what you, like I said, your perception of 3DR as a company versus DJI and so on and so forth. I think it's a great start. There are some things about it that I love that I wish that the Phantom line had, and there are some things about the Phantom that I wish the 3DR would have. Of course, as is ever with these things, if the two of them came together, we'd all be laughing, but I doubt that's going to happen. So there we are. That was as much of an appraisal as I could give you. I'm sorry that it wasn't a full kind of super duper mega long flight test where I had it for weeks and weeks and could really drill down. But hopefully it gave you enough of a flavour. If you were thinking about going down the 3DR Solo route, hopefully that's given you some insights and some looks and stuff. Some of the positives and some of the negatives. Have a little bit of a read round again, have a look at the forums and the other information that's coming out, and make a sort of informed decision. But certainly I think if they continue to develop it and tweak a few things, then it's going to be a very strong aerial videography platform, particularly for those who love their GoPro, want the flexibility of being able to remove the GoPro and take that with them to do ground-based stuff. Then I think that could be something that swings it for you. There we go. Many thanks for watching. I really appreciate it, particularly if you've waded through all three of these for the 3DR Solo. I do really appreciate it. Thank you to everyone who subscribes. Thank you if you share the videos and like the videos. I really, really appreciate that. And if you're somebody who's contributed and bought one of the supporter mugs to support the channel, or is one of the channel patrons, that's fantastic as well. There are lots of links in the description of ways that you can support the channel by doing your usual internet shopping and things like that. So if you feel like you want to do that, then that's really much appreciated. But for now, thank you very much indeed, and I'll see you again soon back on the kitchen table. Until then, cheers.